This video is brought to you by Practical Music Theory for the Rock Guitarist, my new book, which is a comprehensive guide to all aspects of music theory necessary for playing rock guitar. From blues to the cycle of fifths, from understanding and using modes to choosing the right notes for a melodic solo, from pentatonic scales to chord construction and keys. It's all covered in a clear and concise manner. With accompanying video demonstrations, jam tracks and tabs, you'll learn to use the knowledge you gain in accessible ways that make sense for less than the cost of a few guitar lessons. Check out the link in the description for more details. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. You might recall a few weeks ago I did a video comparing this guitar, this Harley Benton SC550, to my Gibson Les Paul. And one of the points I made in that video was the fact that, compared to budget Les Paul copies of yesteryear, from like about 1980 when I was a fledgling guitar player, we have come such a long way in terms of what you get for your money. As I say, back in 1980, I had a Les Paul copy. I had one of these. It is a satellite Les Paul copy. It wasn't this one. I mentioned my old satellite in several videos, and a viewer of this channel called Neil very generously found one and gave it to me as a gift. What a lovely gesture. And it's got loads of lovely nostalgic memories for me every time I pick this guitar up, for all of its faults, which we shall talk about in this video. I think there's an equivalence here between this guitar, this 1980 Les Paul copy, and this 2023 Les Paul copy, and I'll show you why. It's because when I had one of these back in 1980, I bought it out of my mother's mail order catalogue, and I paid the princely sum of £80 for it. So, let's adjust that for inflation. Here we are on the Bank of England inflation calculator. What would goods and services costing £80 in 1980 cost in 2024? And the answer is £331.68, which is, as near as makes very little difference, what one of these will cost you these days. So it should be an interesting comparison. In real terms, these guitars sort of have a similar price. Obviously this one was only £80, but as we've seen, adjust that for inflation and it comes out roughly for the same as what you pay for one of these days. So how different are they in terms of sound? Well, let's have a listen. Now, before we get into it, I'll just mention that, as always, you'll find a full tab for that piece of music in both Guitar Pro and PDF formats, along with a clip of me playing it, and a jam track to play along with yourself. All of that is, as usual, up on my Patreon page. There's the address, and the link is in the description. $3 or £3 a month gets you access to all of these additional resources and goodies that go along with these YouTube videos. And, of course, a massive thank you to everyone who supports me in that, or any of the other ways, all of which are downstairs in the description. A little bit more housekeeping. As usual, the majority of the guitar tones there were coming courtesy of the Blue Guitar Amp 1 Mercury Edition on the Vintage channel. The shoutier high gain stuff, that was the same settings but with a new X-Horseman pedal going into the front end. I wanted to test both guitars under the same conditions, so because the satellite doesn't clean up very well from the guitar's volume control, I used the clean channel on the amp for the clean tones. There it is right there. So those were the settings, and the main thing that surprised me actually listening to that mix back was just that there wasn't a big a difference in sound between the two guitars in a mix. There certainly is in the room. There's a bigger difference between the sound of the satellite and the Harley Benton when you're just kind of playing them. Put them in a mix and they're not indistinguishable. Like a few weeks ago, I also did a comparison between a cheap and an expensive PRS, and you could literally, I certainly couldn't discern any difference without looking at which guitar was being played. It was pretty much impossible to tell. It was possible to tell which of these two guitars were kind of being played at any moment in time, but the difference, once you kind of put bass and drums and stuff like that around it and slather a little bit of reverb and delay on things, it doesn't sound as big a gulf as it does when we test them out side by side. So let's do a little bit of that now, actually. We'll start off with the Harley Benton, and I'm just then going to cut straight into the satellite so you can hear them side by side without me waffling in between. So here's the Harley Benton. And that was the satellite. I don't know about you, but there is a difference in sound there. Let's hear it on a clean tone. So we'll start this time with the satellite, and then we'll go into the Harley Benton. I'm going to go on the middle pickup setting for this. So first of all, the satellite. And that was the Harley Benton. I think you'll agree that there is a bigger difference in sound just when you hear the guitars in isolation. But, throwing something into a mix can paper over a lot of cracks, I guess, is the moral of that story. Whilst I have lots of lovely nostalgic memories about this being my I was going to say my main guitar, but my only guitar back in the early 80s. And whilst I am incredibly grateful for Neil's massively generous gift of just getting this guitar for me, well, let's just say it would be unfair to judge a budget guitar from 1980 by modern standards. I think that's probably being fair to this guitar. It does have a few kind of things that if you were to judge it by today's standards, would raise an eyebrow. For instance, when I was recording the high again parts on that demo from earlier, I had to very, very carefully choose which angle I was kind of sitting at in relation to the speakers, because this thing is, oh, let me tell you how microphonic it is. It was having a lovely old squeal to itself on several occasions. So, you know, it wasn't happy with levels of high gain. Tuning stability is also something of an issue on this guitar. And you may have noticed that I was that most of the kind of twiddly sort of stuff that I occasionally break into, most of that took place on the other guitar, not this one. This guitar doesn't like being treated like that. Oh dear me, no, it fights back massively. It'll tell you, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to let you bend that string. I'm not going to let you move that fast. And if you try, I'm going to go out of tune. Essentially, is the way it tends to go. But nevertheless, this is such a guitar full of happy memories for me, and I'm more grateful to you, Neil, if you're watching this video, than I can tell you for giving me this guitar. What a generous gift, and what a load of lovely happy memories. But the basic message of this video that we're getting round to is that, given the fact that these guitars have an equivalence in terms of price, one of these cost in real terms what one of these cost nowadays. Back in 1980, one of these would cost you, the same proportion of your, of your disposable income as one of these does now, let's say. It just goes to show and reinforce what I was talking about when I compared this one to the Gibson. Haven't we come such a gargantuanly long way, since the days when people of our generation were, kind of using guitars like this one, gigging with guitars like this one even. So there you go. Anyway, that is the video for today, folks. That is the comparison between the Satellite Les Paul copy from 1980 and the Harley Benton Les Paul copy from 2023. Make of it what you will. I've done individual reviews of both guitars, so if you're interested in weights and measures, nut width, weight, pickup resistance readings, all that sort of stuff, neck profile, then I'll link to both of those videos down in the description. But that is, as I say, it for today, folks. Hope you enjoyed this little comparison that I've been doing, and if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so, and why not drop me a like as well while you're at it. Don't forget the live stream every Friday, 5 PM UK time. We drink beer and talk about stuff, music, guitars, whatever. It's a great way to kick off the weekend, and I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.